Welcome to Age of Steel and Fire, where modern warfare meets raw power. Tanks, tactics, and thunder. As the smoke of World War II began to clear, a steel beast rolled through the streets of Berlin, turning heads and rewriting military doctrine. With its boat-shaped sloped armor, a thunderous 122mm cannon, and a silhouette that looked decades ahead of its time, the IS-3 was more than just a tank. It was the Soviet Union's declaration in steel. In today's video, we dive deep into the IS-3, its name, its origins, its specs, and its place in the post-war balance of power. This is the story of a legend, when warfare entered the era of armor. IS-3, letters that carry the weight of an era. They stand for Iosif Stalin, the supreme leader of the Soviet Union during the most brutal years of World War II. Naming a tank after Stalin wasn't just a tribute, it was a statement. A declaration of power from a nation rising to superpower status. The number 3 marks the third generation in the IS heavy tank series, following IS-1 and IS-2. But IS-3 wasn't just an upgrade. It was a leap forward in design, armor philosophy, and battlefield dominance. One name, packed with ambition, authority, and the turning tide of modern warfare. In late 1944, as World War II neared its end, Soviet tank designers faced a sobering truth. The IS-2, powerful as it was, might not be enough for the battles yet to come. They needed something new, tougher armor, greater firepower, and a design that would shake the battlefield. Thus, the IS-3 was born. Developed in secrecy, it made its official debut in May 1945, mere days after Nazi Germany surrendered. Though it never saw combat in World War II, the IS-3 made a thunderous entrance during the Berlin Victory Parade. As its sleek, boat-shaped armor rolled through the streets, Western generals looked on in awe. "We need to rethink our tanks," they said. The IS-3 wasn't just a machine. It was the Soviet Union's steel proclamation that warfare had entered a new era. Don't let its sleek silhouette fool you. The IS-3 was a true war machine. Weighing in at 46 tons, it wasn't built for speed, but for survival. At its core was the V2 IS diesel engine, pumping out 600 horsepower, giving it a top speed of around 40 kilometers per hour, just enough to roll with authority across the battlefield. But the real terror came from its main gun, the 122mm D-25T cannon. One shot, and most Western tanks of the era were toast. That said, power came at a cost, a slow reload rate of just 2 to 3 rounds per minute. Its armor was revolutionary, a boat-shaped sloped front, designed not just to absorb hits, but to deflect them. With 110mm of frontal armor, angled smartly, its effective protection was far greater than raw numbers suggested. The crew of 4, commander, gunner, loader, and driver, worked in tight coordination to operate this steel beast. The IS-3 wasn't perfect, but it was bold, a testament to Soviet engineering and battlefield ambition. After its thunderous debut in Berlin, the IS-3 rolled into mass production. Between 1945 and 1952, over 2,300 units were built. Primarily at the Kirov factory in Leningrad, the birthplace of many Soviet armored legends. Each IS-3 wasn't just a mechanical product. It was a fusion of strategy, engineering, and political messaging. Though it missed World War II, The IS-3 was deployed across Soviet armored divisions and later found its way into the arsenals of Egypt, China, and several Eastern Bloc nations. On the battlefield, it had its flaws, but in parades, it was a showstopper. A steel icon, both weapon and warning. We are ready. When the IS-3 rolled onto the scene, the West was caught off guard. Medium tanks like the M4 Sherman and Churchill suddenly looked outdated against the IS-3's sloped armor and 122mm firepower. The U.S. responded with the M26 Pershing, a medium tank with a 90mm gun and improved armor, but still not a match for the IS-3 in a head-on fight. Then came the M46 Patton, with better engines and controls, yet still rooted in older design philosophies. Britain introduced the Centurion Mk.1, a modern contender with solid armor and firepower, though it wasn't widely deployed at the time. Post-war Germany had no heavy tanks to counter the IS-3. The IS-3 forced NATO to rethink not just firepower, but the very philosophy of tank design. Thus began the arms race, not just in bullets and bombs, but in steel and strategy. The IS-3 was more than a tank, it was a steel statement. Though it missed World War II, it became a symbol of Soviet power in the early Cold War era. Its boat-shaped sloped armor influenced future designs like the T-54, T-55, and even Western tanks. The IS-3 set a new benchmark. Tanks needed not just firepower, but survivability. It sparked a revolution in design thinking, moving from boxy shapes to sleek, deflective contours. On the battlefield, the IS-3 may not have been invincible, but in the history of armored warfare, it was a turning point. A machine carrying a philosophy. Modern war is a contest of armor, strategy, and relentless evolution. A turning point in armored design, a symbol of post-war power, and a silent declaration from the Soviet Union to the world. From its boat-shaped armor and 122mm cannon to its commanding presence in parades, the IS-3 redefined what a modern tank could be. Though it's long gone from the battlefield, its legacy lives on in every steel contour that followed. Thanks for joining me on this deep dive into the IS-3, the tank that ushered in the era of armor. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and drop a comment. Which tank should we explore next? See you in the next video, where steel, strategy, and history continue to speak.